Coin Traders, how's it going? Thanks for joining me for the show. Looking at ICP Internet Computer on that ticker. So going to be diving into all of the current setup right now. And we are on the logarithmic chart right now just for a little bit more clarity and visibility, since this chart's not necessarily the great in linear mode, since it's kind of scrunched up due to the all-time high at over 600 right now. But anyway, so right now I do want to talk about one of the most recent daily setups right now, especially since we have been defending the $4 psychological for closes on this daily chart. So if we actually put a nice level right at 3,999, you get the picture anyway. But then what I really want to talk about is right above that, we were actually looking at a closing level of support coming in for the daily just above that at about 4,032. So the reason this is significant is for several reasons, and let's go ahead and actually remove the $4 psychological line here just for a little bit more visibility. And the thing about this support line is that we've been defending it consistently for 3 nice solid bounce attempts, but the recent bearish candle that just closed did break this after that third time on all of these bounces, defending this level as closing support on this daily chart for ICP. So why is this relevant? Well, especially after 3 attempts to hold it, we do typically anticipate and like seeing higher highs coming in, which we actually didn't get. So the first high was coming in at 4,573. And then this one did close at, hit a high of 4,519. So we're actually getting lower highs, especially 3 over 3 times, combined with holding this level of support, ultimately finally seeing this break. And if we actually turn on volume, you can see that we're actually not even seeing that much substantial volume coming in. So even, for example, if we look at these 3 days, there's a lot. Let's actually go ahead and clear up this chart a little bit for you for some clarity. And now if we look at the 3 days right here that we're ultimately trying to pull back, but ultimately bulls defended this 4,032 level of support, we can see for each day, we were looking at 433,000 for the volume, 570,000 for the volume, and 541, almost 542 for volume. So pretty substantial volume coming in, yet bears couldn't even see a close below this level. But on the candle that happened on the 24th of July, we actually saw volume coming in at 431, almost 432. So not even that much volume to actually completely remove not only breaking a close bearish below the support line, but also breaking 3 nice bullish days of upside, especially with increasing bullish volume, where we actually saw the volume top out at 747.7. Now, once again, this did confirm to a big resistance in between both the 26 and the 50 period exponential moving average. So even on the previous attempt, despite getting just above it and actually having a weekly close above the 50, still bears were successful in retracing and actually establishing this close. And now, once again, we are dipped back down below just the 12 period exponential moving average on this daily. Now, on the 2 recent most bullish days, we got almost non-existent volume. So it does seem plausible and likely to think that these will hold up as big, strong resistance points, especially since minimal bearish volume did send us down below such a strong support line that was support for so long, as well as this big point of resistance coming off of the June 10th pullback, where we saw all the cryptos completely flush. Now, if we do make a downtrend resistance line for all of these closes, you can see that we are forming more or less a descending triangle, which typically on an upside direction could be thought of as bullish, except for the fact that now we are finding a little bit lower of a low on a close compared to the defense, but we are still holding the $4 psychological like we talked about previously. And in addition to that, we are also looking at higher lows with a nice stair-stepping rising price low of support. So the previous low we were looking at was 393 compared to now on the recent pullback that closed bearish below that 403 support line, we were looking at 3,946. So effectively, we do have a very tightening range forming, which could be one of the things that the bulls do ultimately need to rely on, especially since the initial direction of travel into this tightening pattern has been to the upside. However, this doesn't necessarily embody a lot of the consolidation period type patterns, and that's mostly due to the volume that we talked about, where typically once we do actually go into a tightening range, we do start to see volume starting to taper off and actually falling down, and that would be one of the bullish signs that we would see and think to actually let us know that we would likely be expecting a little bit more continued upside, since that was the direction of travel into this consolidation. So flipping over into the weekly now, so if we do actually end up breaking bears, what is in store to the downside? Well, one of the things we're looking at is a very nice weekly closing support and defense of about 360. So as you can see, we've never had a weekly bar close below this level, and that's one of the big targets that we are going to be looking to hold. Obviously, we are looking at an all-time low right now down to 332.1. And so if we do, in fact, break below the $4 psychological level of support, then that is most likely going to see the bears push the price down to about the 360 line once again, in order to confirm that the weekly bulls can actually maintain that level of support. Otherwise, we will be heading down to test the previous low and potentially even find new price discovery to the downside as well. Now, if we do, in fact, actually hold this $4 psychological level, then the next upside target would be this 12-period EMA, because we would need to see a bullish break and close above that, which would send the price up to about the 450 level, which would be the next big point of resistance overhead before we actually get to our next psychological point right at the $5 psychological mark. Now on the daily chart, we talked about volume. So on the weekly, when we actually took a look at volume, one of the things to note is that we've actually started to see a little bit of increasing weekly bullish volume, but we've also seen not necessarily that much selling pressure for a bearish volume. So if we can continue to get small amounts of weekly bearish volume, that does lead to think that the weekly is a lot more inclined to be able to maintain this $4 psychological support. And then if that happens, that should see enough room and opportunity for the bulls to actually be able to rally up, push prices above this 12-period exponential moving average once again, and then be able to see that next test at 450, and then test this 26-period exponential moving average for the weekly as well, which likely would be coming in at about the 480 resistance point then. So expectation right now is that price probably does start to tighten up a little, and then that's why these levels are going to be so much more critical to establish what the direction of Internet Computer ICP will be. Because if we do in fact break below the $4 psychological support, especially for a close on the day, then that really is going to trigger a little bit more of that sell-off pressure to the downside. But if we do start to see a little bit more buying pressure, then that's what really will kick off this tightening consolidation pattern and confirm a nice bullish breakout, likely leading to a pullback, retracement, and backtest, and then that's where we'd really get confirmation follow-through that some upside movement might be in store. So just continue to be patient and keep an eye on this chart based on those levels. Obviously, nothing in here is financial advice, but that is going to go ahead and close us out for the show today. Hope everyone enjoyed, and if you haven't done so just yet, please hit the thumbs up, like, and subscribe. I deeply appreciate it. Also appreciate all the continued love and support. As always, it does mean so much. Stay safe, take care, everyone, and I'll catch you back in the next video.